I know that I'm a great friend, and I know the kind of mom I am.
I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard. Clearly went over to get herself a prince to give her access to this lifestyle that she would have never had access to. If you don't like her, it's not your fault. It's because she's extremely unlikable. She has the non-it factor.
Candace Owens Takedown of Meghan Markle. Oh, you felt the shockwaves, didn't you? This isn't just some petty Twitter jab or a headline tossed into the gossip pile. No, this was a full-blown, gloves-off, public dismantling. One of America's most outspoken conservative voices locked eyes on Meghan, the once sparkling Duchess of Sussex, and didn't just throw shade. She flipped the whole table. How did we get here? How did Meghan, once a darling of the media machine, end up the bullseye for one of the sharpest cultural commentators in the game? And more importantly, why now? What made Candace Owens pounce, and why is her attack resonating so loudly, especially with audiences who've been quietly side-eyeing Meghan's media empire for months, maybe years? Here's the kicker. What Candace unleashed isn't just another celebrity spat. It's a warning shot, a sign that Meghan's carefully curated image might be unraveling at the seams. And trust me, by the end of this video, we'll be digging into a twist that goes far deeper than sound bites or headlines. You're watching Chatter Fuse. Hit that like button, share your take in the comments, and stay locked in. What's coming next? You won't want to miss it. Owens didn't just toss a few insults Meghan's way. She delivered a masterclass in public takedown, slicing straight into the heart of Meghan's public image. Candace positioned Meghan as the ultimate symbol of elite contradiction, a woman who preaches about being silenced while commanding some of the biggest media platforms in the world, who speaks of oppression while living in multi-million-dollar estates, and who claims to represent the voiceless while charging tens of thousands for speaking engagements. And here's why that hit home, especially for viewers over 45, many of whom have lived through decades of celebrity reinventions and political pivots. This wasn't just about Meghan. It was about the exhaustion people feel watching public figures weaponize identity and struggle as marketing tools. Candace didn't have to invent the critique. She simply gave sharp, unapologetic voice to a frustration many had been harboring quietly. What made it all the more brutal was Owens' precision. She didn't ramble or flail. She aimed directly at the core contradiction: Meghan's relentless control over her own narrative, even as she casts herself as powerless. That's the piece that sticks. Because once the public starts seeing a celebrity as someone who curates their suffering for brand power, the emotional connection begins to crack. For Meghan, this isn't just an attack from a conservative firebrand. It's the spotlighting of an uncomfortable truth the media industry has long tiptoed around. How long can you profit from vulnerability before the audience stops buying it? And if you thought Candace Owens was just some isolated voice in the wilderness, think again. Candace is part of a powerful, highly connected media machine that thrives on puncturing the image of establishment celebrities. Her attack didn't just land because it was sharp, it landed because it plugged directly into a growing cultural fatigue, one that stretches far beyond party lines or political tribes. Here's where it gets interesting. Meghan Markle, once seen as the rebellious outsider shaking up the monarchy, has slowly but unmistakably crossed over into a different public role, that of the polished elite insider. The private jets, the curated Netflix deals, the luxury launches, they've turned her in many eyes from disruptor to brand builder, from underdog to emblem of celebrity overreach. That shift matters, because in today's media climate, the real danger isn't when your political enemies come after you. It's when everyone feels licensed to take a swing. Once you lose the cultural shields of political loyalty, media sympathy, or activist backing, you're suddenly standing in the open, fair game for critics across the spectrum. This is why Owens' takedown didn't just resonate on the right. It rippled through the broader public, touching on a frustration that crosses political lines. The weariness with elite figures who preach struggle while packaging it for mass consumption. And Meghan, whether she realizes it or not, has become the perfect lightning rod for that resentment. And here's the part most viewers don't see. The boardroom whispers, the quiet strategy meetings, The risk assessments happening long before Candace Owens ever grabbed a microphone. While Candace snatched the headlines, the entertainment industry had already begun its retreat. Netflix, once dazzled by the prospect of royal-backed documentaries, was reportedly underwhelmed by the final product. A series heavy on moody visuals, light on meaningful substance. Spotify, after sinking millions into Meghan and Harry's podcast ambitions, didn't just walk away quietly, they delivered a parting shot, with executives openly calling the pair grifters. These weren't small hiccups. In the world of celebrity partnerships, corporate fatigue is a far more lethal signal than online backlash. Brands like Netflix and Spotify don't care about Twitter noise. They care about numbers, cultural momentum, and brand alignment. When those start slipping, the polite smiles vanish fast. What Owens did was take the industry's behind-the-scenes discomfort and broadcast it to the public stage. She amplified what insiders were already grumbling about, that Meghan's brand had become less about genuine storytelling or innovation and more about glossy self-promotion. In that sense, Candace didn't create the reputational collapse. She simply accelerated a fall that was already underway. And here's where Candace Owens delivered one of her sharpest cuts, straight through Meghan's luxury image. Take Meghan's much-hyped artisan jam brand. Candace didn't just roll her eyes at the $30 jars wrapped in silk ribbons. She turned them into a symbol of everything the public resents right now. In a world where grocery bills are skyrocketing and families are tightening belts, Meghan's self-care revolution through high-end fruit preserves didn't just seem out of touch, it felt like a slap. This isn't just celebrity excess, it's a cultural mismatch. Post-pandemic, audiences are less forgiving of luxury for luxury's sake. When stars preach empowerment and inclusivity but sell products designed only for the ultra-wealthy, the hypocrisy isn't subtle, it's glaring. Owens channeled that resentment perfectly, turning Meghan's jam venture into a case study of elite disconnection. For Meghan, the risk here isn't just mocked product launches, it's the erosion of her personal brand. Because once the public starts seeing you not as a relatable outsider, but as just another privileged figure peddling exclusivity, you don't just lose fans, you lose cultural relevance. And in celebrity culture, irrelevance is the wound that never heals. And here's something sharp-eyed media watchers couldn't miss: Harry's absence. Candace Owens unleashed a storm on Meghan, but Harry, barely a mention. That's not an oversight. It's a reflection of where Harry now stands in the public narrative. Once the cheeky, rebellious royal who captured headlines in his own right, Harry has faded into the background, increasingly perceived not as a leading figure, but as a supporting player orbiting Meghan's brand. This shift matters. In celebrity partnerships, when one figure's narrative overtakes the others, the dynamic becomes lopsided. And audiences notice. Where once the couple was seen as a joint force, today it's Meghan who commands the media stage, while Harry lingers in the wings, nodding along but rarely driving the conversation. For media analysts, this isn't just gossip fodder. It's a textbook example of how celebrity pairings evolve under the weight of branding. When one identity grows larger than the partnership, the other risks becoming invisible, and in Harry's case, the silence is becoming its own kind of story. Because as Candace and other critics focus their fire solely on Meghan, it raises the quiet but powerful question: where does Harry fit now? Or has he already been written out of his own saga? And here's where the real weight of Candace Owens' attack sinks in. Not just in the words she delivered, but in what they revealed about Meghan's shrinking circle of protection. 5 years ago, this kind of public lashing might have been brushed aside, dismissed as partisan noise or right-wing provocation, but today, it lands hard. Because Meghan's once impressive cultural armor, the media allies, the sympathetic headlines, the activist endorsements, has been steadily peeling away. In the celebrity world, protection isn't guaranteed. It's rented. It's maintained by relevance, by relationships, by momentum. When the media's enthusiasm cools, when corporate partners start hedging, when cultural defenders quietly move on, the walls around you thin out, right? And suddenly, the critics come rushing in. What Candace exposed wasn't just Meghan's media vulnerability. She spotlighted the harsh reality every public figure eventually faces. There's no permanent immunity in the fame game. You can't live forever on past goodwill. You can't indefinitely shield yourself behind carefully curated narratives. And once the cultural tides shift, once the audience's patience wears thin, even the most polished brands can find themselves standing alone, fending off attacks that once would have been unthinkable. So here we are, not just at the end of another celebrity headline, but standing at a cultural crossroads. Candace Owens' takedown of Meghan Markle wasn't some isolated clash between two big personalities. It was a sign of shifting currents. Meghan, once untouchable thanks to royal titles, powerful media allies, and a progressive public image, now faces a landscape where critics from all sides feel free to take aim. That shift says less about Candace herself and far more about the crumbling walls around Meghan's once protected reputation. We're watching a moment where celebrity immunity is wearing thin, where once sacred narratives are now up for open debate, and where audiences, especially those over 45 who've seen public figures rise and fall before, are growing less patient with curated vulnerability and polished PR. The bigger question here isn't just about Meghan or Candace, it's about what this signals for the entire celebrity ecosystem. What do you think? Is this a long overdue reckoning for a media figure who's stretched her brand too far? Or is the public and the press piling on more than she deserves? We'd love to hear your perspective. Join the conversation below, drop your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe. You're watching Chatterfuse, where we dig into the moments shaping, shaking, and sometimes breaking today's cultural icons.